everyone. Welcome to Q8. Yeah, it's Q8, right? Fucking, I can't count. And this week, I'm still not sponsored. I found... You know what? There's been this sponsor that's been sponsoring a ton of different YouTube channels, specifically gaming ones, that is like this trading card game thing. And I don't remember the name, but if you guys are watching this, listen, I make about 1,000 views every video. I know that's not a lot, but it's a sponsorship. You know, I love card games. I really do. But anyways, Q8, welcome. This is if you don't know what Q8 is, essentially it's just me improvising and just like no script, just talking out of my mind and answering some questions at the end of the show. And but right now I just want to talk about the more popular thing that's been going on this week, and that of course being Half-Life 3. Not necessarily being confirmed, but the story was kind of confirmed technically. So if you haven't heard, Mark Laidlaw, he's a writer for Valve. He's a former writer for Valve. He retired last year. He wrote for Half-Life 1 and Half-Life 2 and Half-Life, the episodic ones. And it's been 10 years since Half-Life 2 Episode 2 came out. And a lot of speculation came out that because of the 10-year contract that Valve seems to have with most of their employees, they're not allowed to speak about any sort of project they're on for 10 years. That 10-year contract is broken, and now Mark Laidlaw, after retiring, came out and made this blog post where he can talk about Episode 3, kind of. See, it confused me at first, because when I saw this post, I clicked on it and I read the whole thing, and I was like, the fuck is that? And then I realized, well, I mean, I didn't read the whole thing, but I read the whole thing, but I didn't realize it until like the second paragraph, that he was basically gender swapping a ton of the characters from Half-Life and slightly changing their names to just dumb shit. So it's like, it's not Gordon Freeman, I think it's like Gertrude Fremont, and so, you know, stuff like that. And essentially it's the entire story of Episode 3 just put out there. And if you want to read it, you could go ahead, but the summary that I can think of right now is just essentially Gordon and Alex Vance, you know, after her dad died, they were like depressed and all that shit. Then they were like, okay, let's go after that ship, that, you know, that thing that was our objective since 10 years ago. And then they go after it, and then they find out it's part of the Combine. And then they're like, hey, yo, you know what's really cool? What if we brought this giant-ass Antarctic ship and we blew it up like a nuclear bomb into the Combine's base of operations? And that's what they did with the giant portal gun, that they just fucking went through time and space. And before it explodes, Gordon Freeman is transported out, and also everyone actually is transported out. Alex Vance is transported out by, I assume, is G-Man? But he was saved by the Vortigaunts, and he's on a beach where his story just ends. He doesn't know if the Combine fell, or if they didn't, you know, they didn't fall at all, or maybe it didn't make an impact at all. He doesn't know, and that's how the story ends. And that left me so unsatisfied, because now it's another fucking cliffhanger. Okay, Episode 3, we have no fucking clue what Episode 3 is gonna be. Then when I read this, oh cool, everything is actually changing. But then I actually remembered Episode 3 is just a fraction of Half-Life. Well, you know, because the episodic series was supposed to be a trilogy, Episode 1, 2, and 3, and they were all very small games. They weren't, you know, as long as Half-Life 2. That's why they were episodic. There was just Episode 1 and Episode 2. They were like 3 hours, 4 hours of gameplay, and then and now, so, god damn it, and Episode 3 ends in a fucking cliffhanger. So we have, even if I'm so fucking befuddled right now. I can't even organize my words properly. So this is what I want to say. Essentially, if Episode 3 did come out, then that just means we had to have waited for our Half-Life 3. So we would have been asking again, when's Half-Life 3 coming out, even if Episode 3 came out? That's fucked up. Now, of course, Mark Laidlaw, he's a great source. You know, like, he is the fucking writer. You know, he's one of the writers, I'd assume. They have a ton of others, because this is a very complex universe they're working with. There were some other people that came out that I think were employees of Half-Life, or rather of Valve, that came out and said, "Oh, finally, thank you for doing this. You know, you finally got this off my chest." And that was really cool of him. And he even agreed. He's like, "Yeah, okay, cool." And Jesus Christ. But oh man, that sucks. That really sucks. I mean, it's great that we had closure. Technically, I mean, there's still no Half-Life 3 game out, but the fact that he did this was amazing. Now, why? A lot of you might be asking, why hasn't Half-Life 3 or Half-Life 2 Episode 3 been released? Because, as you know, Half-Life 1, 2, and 3, there were supposed to be a trilogy, episodic games that were supposed to come out yearly or monthly. I totally forgot. It's been 10 fucking years. And it never came to fruition at all. It just was stagnated after the orange box. Was that the last episode? Was that episode 2 or 1? But whatever. It all stagnated. I want to say because of... not Steam, because Steam, they were still developing games when Steam was out, right? They made Portal 2, they made Dota 2, they were still making games, right? Counter-Strike, Global Offensive, but I don't want to blame it all on Steam. I think they can make games while operating Steam, right? And they still do. But I really want to blame it on Team Fortress. I'll tell you why. Team Fortress... I don't know if you guys know this, right? I mean, it's been a while. I know all of you know about the hats in Team Fortress 2. But for those of you who are unaware, Team Fortress 2 has this economy that is just a booming source of income for Valve. A fucking hat in Team Fortress 2 can cost upwards to $5 or $3,000. I'm not even exaggerating. I know this because I was selling hats at one point, and it took away my life. And if you know this, I'm a terrible gambler. I gamble my ass off on everything. Now I made quite a bit of bucks out of Team Fortress 2, but I quit that shit. But you can still make a ton of money from that shit, even today. I mean, you know, not as much as before. You know, Counter-Strike makes even more money, and Dota 2 makes even... oh, God, I'm stuck on Dota 2 now. But, good. Oh, I'm sorry if I seem so flustered, but this is something that I've always wanted. Some sort of confirmation that Half-Life 3 was at least a thing. I mean, sure, we had all these leaks and all this stuff that came out, but we just never knew if it was a thing that they were making. And, you know, if you read Mark Laidlaw's post, and you read towards the end of the paragraph, he made it kind of clear that there was enthusiasm for Half-Life 3. And whenever an employee is asked about Half-Life 3 from Valve, they're always like, yeah, there's always enthusiasm, but whenever somebody tries to work on Half-Life 3, they start to realize that it's not as stable as it should be, so they just work on something else. And that's just been the cycle ever since fucking 10 years ago. I guess just Gabe never liked Half-Life 3 to begin with, and it was never the thing that he wanted. And I'm assuming Mark Laidlaw is using the original story that he's wanted to make since 10 years ago. That story could have changed many times, and in fact, I'm sure it's been revised a ton of fucking times. So we might, if Half-Life 3 ever comes out, it might not actually be Mark Laidlaw's original script. It might be something completely different. But it sucks. The story is done. I mean, that's often the case, isn't it? Just the story is done, it's just nobody wants to make it. That's always what we hear. Honestly, and the longer it takes for Valve to develop Half-Life 3, they're starting to realize that Half-Life 3 just isn't worth it no matter what. Half-Life 3 is a single-player campaign. Sure, Half-Life 2 had some multiplayer stuff in it too, but nobody really talks about that. In fact, I'm sure some of you are going, wait, there was multiplayer in Half-Life 2? Yeah, there was. I think it was just called Half-Life 2 Source. And I played it a little bit. It's not that great. I mean, I still would rather play Counter-Strike, and that's the thing. I don't know if anybody would want... Or rather, I don't even know if Half-Life 3 would be as profitable as, say, Dota 2, which is a multi-million-dollar game, or Team Fortress 2, or even their upcoming Dota 2 trading card game, which I'm sure is just going to be as successful as Dota 2, if not even more so, because I'm sure it's going to be free to play and all that stuff. And oh my god, it's Half-Life 3 just can't hold a candle next to those games. It can never be as profitable because it's a single player campaign. You only make one purchase and that's it. There's no like skins, there's no purchasable hats or customizable things. It's a one-time deal, so they're never gonna make as much money as they would if they just continue to make content for Dota 2 or there are other multiplayer games. And that's just what sucks about this. You also have to keep in mind that Half-Life 2, or rather Half-Life 3, has this, like, it's become such a mythical thing in the gaming community that when it does come out, I'm so sure that it will come out. Like, maybe not in my lifetime, but I'm sure it's going to come out eventually. Sometime within the lifespan of mankind, but whatever. I know that it will come out, but everybody's expecting something great, like a masterpiece when it comes out. And I have no doubt that Valve is capable of that. Fucking Portal 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. The writing is genius. The gameplay is genius. The graphics, I mean, it's fucking Valve, you know, but it works. It's great. It's amazing. It's so good. I'm sure that if they just put some effort into it, it'd be great, but that's the thing, even I'm expecting such a masterpiece. And how could you, really? When Duke Nukem came out just a few years ago, that Duke Nukem Forever was the Half-Life 3 of back then. And when that shit came out, it was just awful. Nobody liked it. There are a few people out there who are like, it's not that bad. But it was just such a relic of the 90s that nobody really wanted anymore. And I have a feeling that Valve they're just feeling the same way. They're like, what if it's just the next Duke Nukem? And I think that was their issue one time. I think one of the people that was working on Half-Life 3 was like, our biggest fear is being the next Duke Nukem. And that's a legitimate fucking fear, especially after your game hasn't been developed in the last 10 years. Now, we always see all kinds of news coming out from Half-Life 3. Like, it's always the same thing. One news source always says Half-Life 3 is totally in development, only it's really slow. And then somebody else posts Half-Life 3 is completely dead. And like I said, I do believe that it will come out sometime while I'm alive, and hopefully while all of you are alive. But I don't know. I don't know. I think that's just blind optimism for once, actually just clouding my thought of reason. I mean, the fact that Mark Laidlaw came out with this post kind of shows that he has no real faith in the project. Like, he wouldn't just leak this out if he didn't think it was never going to come out. Like, it's closure. It's closure. That's all it is. He knows that Valve is not currently working on it that hard, and they're just, focusing on everything else. And he knows that. So that's why he came out with this. Otherwise, he wouldn't have said anything. So that's a bad sign in itself. He thinks that it will never be released. That sucks. But there's some glimmer of hope. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. The fucking card game. Oh, God. But that's all really I had to say. I've just been extending this for way too long. What do you guys think about this post? Seriously, like, it's nice to have this, but to me, as much as I love reading and as much as I respect writers, this was always a video game. I won't be satisfied until I see a trailer in E3, Gamescom, fucking Tokyo Game Show, I don't care. I won't be satisfied until I see Half-Life 2 Episode 3 confirmed, and even then, if what Mark Laidlaw showed was true, I won't even be satisfied by then. I will be satisfied when they conclude this story and be done with it. Half-Life 3 fucking confirmed. That is when I'll be satisfied. Right now, it was just a little appetizer. That's it. Anyways, tell me what you guys think. I'll take in some cues right now. First question is by Just Call Me Zoe. Your question was, have you ever played any game from the Kingdom Hearts franchise? If so, did you like it? Love your vids, dude. Very chill stuff. Thank you. Yeah, I've played Kingdom Hearts 1. I've never played Kingdom Hearts 2. I've played Birth by... No, not Birth... I played a little bit. I didn't fucking beat it. But then I played the one that came out for the 3DS. I'm trying to think of what's called. Dream Drop Distance. Yeah, I played that. That was actually pretty cool, too. I don't know why, but there's this sudden resurgence of people that just really fucking hate Kingdom Hearts as a whole. I don't know why. I have no idea why, because when Kingdom Hearts first came out, a lot of people gave it praise. Kingdom Hearts 2, even better praise. Then Kingdom Hearts 3 became like an inside joke. It was like this. It was kind of like the semi-quasi Half-Life 3 thing, but unlike Half-Life 3, there were actual games being made, as obscure as they were and as dumb as they were. I think the story is just shit. I think it's fucking garbage. It makes no sense. It's, oh my god, you have no, unless you've played the game, you have no idea just how shit and garbage and dumb and confusing it is. Oh boy. But I love the gameplay. I really do. My girlfriend, she cannot take it seriously at all. I want to get her into this game. But how can you when your reference... Oh yeah, and I played Chain of Memory. And how can you when the fucking point of reference is Donald Duck going... and fucking Goofy going... Gorsh! You know, it's like, it's dumb. It's so dumb. It's dumb. The story is so much more serious than the characters portrayed in it. Fucking Donald Duck is like... I can't fucking understand the motherfucker. Meanwhile, Sora is crying his eyes out about like the Heartless, and like his friends are dying. They're becoming like slaves of the darkness, and it's so sad and tragic and dumb and stupid. Meanwhile, in the background, fucking Donald Duck is going... It's really stupid. I cannot take it seriously either. That story is dumb. The gameplay is really good though. It's really fun. It's really fun. Dream Drop Distance was the most fun I had on the 3DS. It was actually like legitimately my favorite 3DS game so far. And I really love the pet mechanics, you know, the dream toys, whatever the fuck they're called. They're really fun. I think that was the best game out of them all, really. Chain by Memory, I had a surprising amount of fun with. Like, I know a lot of people give it some slack because, you know, it's a card game and nobody really likes the mechanics of the card, but I actually really liked it. I thought it was really cool. It was really awesome. It was really challenging, but it was really good. I like that. Kingdom Hearts 1, a lot of people also say that game was super hard, but no, not really. I mean, I don't remember it being hard. I haven't played it in like 15 years, but I don't remember it being super hard, but yeah, well, maybe it is. I just don't remember. But yeah, I do really like Kingdom Hearts. I can't take the fucking story seriously, but I haven't played a ton of them. I am planning on buying that one, the Kingdom Hearts. What the fuck is it called? Oh my god, is it like Kingdom Hearts 2.8 and the third of like the beginning of the final chapter, the start of like the end? I don't know what the fuck it's called, right? But I do want to get that just because I heard it has like almost every game that's really important to the story, and I want to try it. I want to try it. It's been so long. I really want to try it. So thank you for your question. Next question is by King Arrow. You asked, do you accept fan art? Of course I do. I absolutely do. I remember a few people actually gave me some fan art a long time ago. There was that really good fan art by Leon. She was, oh god, her fan art was the best. But before her, there was a ton of others that if I can, I'll try to put them up on screen, but it's been so long. So I know some of you have done it. I just can't find it. I'm sorry, but if you can, bring them my way again so I could, you know, show them up on screen again. But the problem with fan art is that I don't know how to show it to everyone, you know? Like, I appreciate it. I really do appreciate it. It's just like, I feel like whenever I retweet it on Twitter, it's not good enough, you know? I feel like I need to actually show it on my YouTube videos. But the thing is, I don't know when to show it on my YouTube videos. Like, I feel like the one person who has it down the best is Panpizza. Panpizza's videos are superb. You should totally check him out if you're into animation and cartoons and anime and all that stuff. He's really good. He's super cool. It's really funny. And he always shows fan art right in the middle of his videos all the time. And that's a good place to put it. But the thing is, my videos are never structured in a way where I can just show it on screen midway, you know? So I don't know, it's either I show it in the beginning or maybe I show it in the end. But the thing is, people often skip both. They often skip the beginning or the end. I just don't know. But I do accept fan art, and I appreciate it so much. You have no idea how giddy I get whenever I get fan art. So thanks a ton. And if any of you have any suggestions as to where I should post fan art, I'm totally down for it. You know, I'm totally down for any suggestions, because I would love to show my appreciation way more than just a retweet or just a frame on video that most people will probably skip. You know, I want to find a way. But thank you so much for your question. Next question is actually not much of a question, but more of a statement. And he's asking, or she's asking my thoughts on it. And that question is by fuck you and your name, Ivanov Gorbovich Slavoslavovich. Slavovavovich. All right. You said Valve just makes card games in VR now. RIP. I'm not sure if I want VR to fail or become super cheap. If it fails horribly, maybe Valve will go back to making real games. On the other hand, if it takes off, we could be playing Left 4 Dead 3, TF3, and Counter-Strike Source 2 in VR in 2025. What do you think, Boose? Listen, so here's the thing about VR. Okay, I was going to make a video about this, and I'm still going to make a video about this, so keep an eye out for that. But I was going to make a video about VR and how it's probably more just a fad than it is an evolution to gaming, because I don't think we have the appropriate technology to actually make full-fledged games. I mean, look at the library that is available right now for every VR game. You have one of three games. Either you have a fucking gallery shooter, or you have a game where you have to teleport from place to place and it's still a gallery shooter, or you have the alternative, which is it's a full game, only your camera is the headset, which is the dumbest one out of them all, I feel. I really do hate that one the most. Unless, of course, you have some sort of quirky gimmick where, like, oh, you're a giant and you have to save the tiny person from the thing. But I haven't really seen many creative things coming out of VR. And that just proves to me that we just don't have the technology to actually make something good out of it. It seems more like a 3DS kind of thing than it is an actual successful console. A lot of people will buy it. A lot of people will like it. But the gimmick will wear off. Like the 3DS, the 3D gimmick was so cool. It's still pretty cool. Like every now and again, I still go on my 3DS and I'm like, oh, this 3D thing is pretty neat. But the VR thing, you know, I'm assuming it's more like it's neat on a next level. You know, it's like, oh wow, now I have an actual perspective. You know, everything's, you know, there. It feels cool, right? But it's just not great when it comes to gaming. Like, I personally can't think of anything, you know, that stands out, or like anything that uses VR to its full capability. You know, everybody uses that whole stupid teleport thing. Everybody uses the shooting gallery thing. You know, it's like the Wii. Actually, it's way more like the Wii than you think. The Wii sold a ton of fucking consoles because of the gimmick. The gimmick is really cool. You know, you wave around your stupid little dicks around, and it's really cool. You use it for guns, for lightsabers, whatever you want, and it's really awesome. And it's the same thing with VR, only this time you have a headset, so that makes it more innovative or more fucking awesome and immersive and shit. But it's just the same thing. We don't have the proper technology. I'm waiting till 7 years from now where we actually have boots or some bullshit where we can walk in VR without moving ourselves. It's a complicated thing. And listen, this isn't the first time that VR has been released. You know, I don't want to point to like the Game Boy VR, what was it called? The VR headset that Nintendo made back in the day. The Virtual Boy, that's what it was called. I don't want to point to that because everyone always points to that and they're like, oh, it's exactly like fucking the Oculus Rift. But it's absolutely not like the Oculus Rift at all. It's an inferior version. But there were a ton of prototypes of VR back in the day that seemed like it was going to take us to the next level, but it never did. The technology still isn't here. You said 2025, right? That's a bit more optimistic. I don't know if we'll still have the technology. If we do have the technology by then, it'll be just, it won't be that graceful, and it also won't be that cheap. It'll be absolutely expensive. So I don't know. I just think VR came out way too soon. Then again, VR just came out last year, so it's too soon to really evaluate how good it is or how bad it is. Right now, I think it's just a fad. I think it'll disappear within the next 2 years. I certainly hope that it doesn't. I hope that there is more evolutions to this. And there have been some controller schemes that have been making it easier to function, the VR headset and all that stuff. And, you know, it's just not there in terms of gaming. In terms of gaming, not everyone's on the same level. You know what this is? This is way more like when the Super Nintendo went transitioned to the Nintendo 64, or like when the PlayStation 1 came out. You know, that era of gaming where we went from sprites to full-on 3D models. Not everyone knew how to work with it, and a lot of the times they just failed. You know, it made subpar platformers. Nobody knew how to make a fucking platformer except for like Nintendo and some PlayStation games, but instead they were focusing on RPGs and new things that made everyone think differently about 3D gaming. You know, now we were doing first-person shooters. Now things were a lot less platformy and more RPG-like, or first-person shooter, third-person shooter. Like, it really helped innovate. When those games came out, it really helped, you know, push us forward to the next level of 3D gaming. Nowadays, we just don't have that yet. And until someone does make that kind of game, like a JRPG or like any other game that just innovates the technology, we're just going to have to deal with the fact that this little bump on the road is full of gallery shooters and just really subpar puzzle games. So, I mean, sure, I hope VR does well, is what I'm saying, you know? But right now, it's not doing so well. So, thank you for your question. Last question is by Anthony Aguero. I hope I said your name right. Your question was, new viewer here. Anyway, I was wondering what kind of content you enjoy most from YouTube as a viewer, and what content you admire most as a small-time YouTuber. Personally, I enjoy any sort of discussion or conversations on subjects that may interest me, i.e. initial reaction videos, video essays, counter-arguments, etc. Keep being you, and I hope to see more from you. Thank you very much, Anthony Aguero. I hope I said your name right. So I'm not really understanding what you said for the last part of your question. What content you admire most as a small-time YouTuber? Like, what do I admire from small-time YouTubers, or what do I like making as a small-time YouTuber? So I'll answer both. But hopefully I got you. For the last part of your question, if you're asking what do I like the most from small-time YouTubers, I would say just whatever potential thing, okay, I like anything that's different that I haven't really seen before from big YouTubers. So there's this channel that I think a lot of you have actually seen me, posting comments on, and that's the Boo Review. I absolutely love them. They are so fucking funny, and they bring a ton of different perspectives when it comes to the paranormal stuff. I love paranormal shit. I really do. So I like that shit a lot. But when I see them, they're not the typical top 15 guy who's always like, number 15, the spooky thing happened, blah, blah, blah. They actually have a discussion about it, and they debunk whatever the fuck they talk about. And that's good. Not a lot of people do that, and I know why not a lot of people do that, because whenever there's an answer to something, it ruins the illusion that there are spooky things, and so people don't like that. They like to keep things mysterious. But I like the Boo Review a lot. I think they do some really cool stuff. As for everyone else, like I said, I just like it when they do something different. There was this other one, Culture Crash. I love those guys too. They were actually really small. They had like, I was subscribed to them since they had 20,000 subscribers. I think now they have over 100,000. I'm not really sure, but I'm glad to see them grow. They have really good content, and it's different from what I've seen. So that's what I enjoy the most from smaller YouTubers. Bigger YouTubers are just like, the typical stuff of like, if they make me laugh, I'll just subscribe or whatever. And if you're asking what kind of content do I admire making, I'm sorry, I'm totally butchering your question. I'm so sorry, I'm just dumb like that. But if you're asking like what kind of stuff do I like making, I just like making conversation videos. I like talking to you guys, I really do. I know I don't reply as much as I really should, but the thing is, it's just like I don't know how to reply to all of you. Like, it's really kind of difficult. Y'all are so kind to me and stuff that it's kind of hard. But anyways, your question. Oh yeah, I just like making casual conversation stuff. I do miss making Let's Plays. Let's Plays were really nice. They were really fun. They were just really easy to make, but I just liked making them because I felt like talking all the time. I'm a huge blabbermouth, and in Let's Plays, I don't necessarily have to talk about gaming-related stuff. I could just talk about political stuff or like any other things that are in my interest right now, right? But it's just, they never got the views that warranted more of them, you know. Like, I stopped halfway with some of them. I never finished Transistor. I never finished that Grim Fandango, or the other one, Setsuna, something, My Life Setsuna, some shit like that. And I never finished them because they just never got enough views, so I never continued them. But I know I'm totally butchering your question. I'm so sorry. I'm just not understanding it that well. I know you're saying what kind of content do I like on YouTube. I already answered that part, but the other part is what threw me off. So I'm really sorry if I didn't get it. You can totally ask another question, and I'll try my best to answer that again next week. I'm so sorry, man. I feel bad about this. But anyways, that was the last question of this week's Q. Hope you all enjoyed that. But that is it for this week. Oh yeah, I have something to show you all tomorrow. I don't know if I can post it tomorrow, but I'll try. Hopefully all of you can get that. It's very important news regarding this channel and my book, which is coming out very, very soon. So hopefully you can tune in for that. But thank you all so very much for watching. I will see you all next time. I love y'all. Goodbye.